Alrighty, what is up guys, it is Crow, and we are doing a build video on Vash the Stampede, the human typhoon. The man with there's $100 million double dollar bounty on his head. But yes, this is my Vash Stampede build. I don't think any on YouTube right now, they're doing a build for this guy, even though, there's enough stuff in the game to make it. So, we are going to be going through the head, the outfit, and then we'll be delving into more of the cybernetics, and then after that we'll just give you an overview of the possible things you need for your weapons. So with that being said, let us jump into the first thing on the list, which is the head. Now for Vash, you're going to want to be a nomad, especially because he's out here in the desert and has more nomad experience, especially if you're going to romance Pan Am. The nomad path is always a good choice, especially as a beginner. If you're new to Cyberpunk, it's a good way because just like V or Vash in this case, you're new to the city. It's a new, strange world, unknown to you. Plus you get cool dialogue options for Vash. They make him really feel like he's out here in the Badlands. Now they're done with the head, let us jump into the wardrobe. So Vash's outfit is actually a combination of a couple things. It did get modified halfway through the story, but it always kept the same basis. For the first variant, this goes off of what the first anime had, which is actually more of a red coat. The closest thing you get to this game, he had armored legs and very steampunky looking boots, so we perfectly encapsulated with the boots. The legs, I got enough. The main thing was definitely the legs, seeing as the trench coat mostly covers the legs, and they give it more of a closed red look. I did use a Netrunner suit in the red variant, but yeah. For the head, we have the elegant vision of aviators, reinforced lens. Then we have the polymer rocker coat. Like I said, the red alert net suit. We got the Frey Maelstrom tactical pants, and then we got the military strap. This is for the base version of Vash, and you will mostly find it around the beginning area of the game. I will show you that off, exactly where to get these. And for those wondering, yes, you might need the DLC, especially if you want to make the Stampede version. Now, this is the remade version of Vash, based on the second anime they brought out. Basically the same thing, same concept. A very long coat, red. This red you can find at like the first vendor when you get into Phantom Liberties, and most stuff actually you can just probably pick off random people off the street. But it's heavy biker boots for the feet at least. Utility pants for the lower belt. Now the inner torso is being covered up by the most important thing is the half-zipped jacket. Main reason being it's a nice shade of red, even though the pattern's a little off. And then we got yet again the shades that perfectly give off Vash's look. And then we have the second variant of Vash in the original series. This is one after he lost his jacket. So for this, it'll be basically the same thing. The utility strap boots. Then we go for more of a lined utility pants, more of a green, you know. As close as you can get to it, even though in the anime, I do believe it is a black. But green will work just the same. A lot of NightCity is dark, so he'll blend in just well. And then we have the ATAK insulated padded rally get up, you know, because he does have his stomach showing in the second look, and then we just give him his signature glasses, that way his face ain't all bland. But yeah, with that is all everything, except if you want to do his Phantom Liberties look. Obviously, I just made him look like his second variant, but all dark and black and whatnot. It's basically same pants, same boots, just a different jacket. It's a fortified one, you know, give him a cool looking thing. And then I got him these. But most of this armor you'll actually find in the beginning area, especially if you go to, say, clothing store up here. And the one down here. It's where we mostly get the boots and the pants. And if you need to find another spot to find the jacket, here's another good spot. Now for the glasses, that might be a problem. You can use goggles as a substitute. But if you can't find it in the early game, no worries. Down here, you can usually find it at these clothing stores. And yeah, that's usually where you'll find at least the base version of Vash's costume. Now if you see down here, we'll be going down here and going here. And on this area, you'll find a clothing vendor. This one specifically is the one you need to look for when looking for his jacket. For the Phantom Liberties variant and the Stampede variant. So that's where mainly you'll find all the outfits and whatnot. You might even find them down here. But yeah, that's mainly where you'll roundabout find the outfit. Now you can change out the colors if you want, but if you want to go for the classic Vash look, you'll definitely need all those pieces just to give him the look. Now Vash ain't nothing without his arm, so we'll be jumping into the next segment, which is his cyberwear. And here we have Vash's cyberwear. So Vash is actually a very built-out character. By the end of the game, you will have at least about 1,000 armor, which is very impressive, very good, especially towards the end of the game. However, you will be needing some perks, and those perks will be shown off later. But as for now, let us go through all the stuff. You will obviously need perks to unlock some of these later on bits to have all your slots filled up. But let's start off with the frontal cortex. Now, the most important part of this build is definitely gotta be his projectile launcher. As you know, in the anime, Vash's left arm is replaced with a rocket after his brother Knives sadly blew it off. So, we're going to be needing this to replicate the shotgun he's got in his arm. And, obviously, we're going to need all of these other things. The reinforced tendons are very important, especially during gameplay, because you will be doing a lot of jumping and avoiding people. Because Vash is very, you know, he likes to dodge his enemy's attacks, but we'll get into that in a minute. And he's also very good with his reflexes, so this build will mostly focus around reloading his weapon especially fast, especially with revolvers, and obviously slowing down time to take precision shots at the head, which are non-lethal, and we will get into that. But yes, a lot of these are built around keeping him alive, and obviously recharging his arm, which counts as his grenade slot. And a lot of these you'll actually find in the later on sections of the game. Obviously, some of these iconics you'll have to grab from a quest. I believe this one is found from Regina giving it to you after you finish all of the gigs in Haywood. And the rest of these are mostly found in the lower sections and do require the Phantom Liberties DLC. And obviously you can upgrade them beyond what they're normally supposed to be. And obviously, with more skills, you can actually select whatever bonuses you want. But we usually like to stick with the base versions. And with that, we'll be going on to actually the skills you require to make it so your cyber deck can be up to this point. And here's one of the other important parts of this game, your build. So Vash has basically got a very rounded build. Just on paper, as you see, we got 20 body, we have 16 reflex, we have 20 tech ability, we have 20 cool, you know, because Vash is a pretty cool guy. Then we got 5 intelligence. He's not the smartest one out of the bunch. But yes, all these are very important, especially the technical abilities is what's basically going to give us the ability to use all the cyberware we want, and certain other abilities used for weapons and whatnot. So let's jump into the body. For the body, he really doesn't have a lot. Most of the body built into is so you can open up doors that are blocked behind, and also for health. Painkiller is a very important one, especially needing to regenerate in combat. And then we have Army of One. As you know, Vash is a very lone rider, so a lot of time you won't have a lot of people around you. But within combination with Painkiller, you will have enough health to survive a battle, hopefully. Adrenaline Rush is a very good thing to have because it does, yet again, increase your health. Health is very important to staying alive in Night City. And then level 2, we only got up to, gives you a health regeneration boost. Basically, this tree is just this part of the build is just to keep him alive a lot longer in combat. Now we'll go into reflexes. Reflexes isn't that really important. You can interchange it with a lot more stuff, but for me, the most important ones are down here for good old Vash. Muscle memory allows you to reload while sprinting and sliding and vaulting. This is going to be very important when you bring up the revolver or any other weapons in this build. It'll allow you to basically just keep moving and keep dodging all your enemy fire and not run low on ammo. And then the base one, slippery. Faster you move, the more difficult for enemies to shoot you. That is a very important thing because Vash is very slippery in the anime and the manga. Then we got power slide. Increase the slide distance. You might not be sliding into enemies, but it's good to have a way around them. And then increase vaulting and climbing speed. Good for getting away from enemies when you know the challenge is very hard, especially early on in the game. Then we got blade weapons. Vash really doesn't use blade weapons, but for your build, if you want to have a little bit of fun with knives and whatnot, this is a very good part of the build. Lead and steel, minus 15 stamina cost unlocks the ability to block incoming projectiles and with the blade. That is very good, especially if you are going to be standing a lot in one spot. increased damage and stun chance with counterattacks. Good if you're up close and personal with the bad guys, but for Vash, we probably don't want it up that way, but just in case they do get up in front of you, because the big guys do like to do that in this game. And then the stamina recovery while blocking projectiles is very good, because there's a lot of projectiles. And then bullet reflection with bullet time. Very good. And then we have more blade skills for recovering your stamina and your attack speed, which is very good, especially for those who do want to get up there with a knife. Now we'll be moving on to the creme de la creme of this build, the 20 points in tech ability. This is the most important part of your build for Vash. This allows him to be able to have all those sweet cyberware. That chrome. One of the first ones you're probably going to get into, Glutton of War. When instantly recharges health items and grenade items. This also counts for your rocket arm. And then recharge the health items when you use one charge. Throughout the game, you will get more health items. You can use them whenever you want. Then we get in this Health Freak. Recharge speed of your health items and grenades. This will also, yet again, help us to recharge and have our rocket arm on all the time. And later on, perks will actually increase our amount of grenades, so that'd be a great thing. Especially outside of combat, you can actually recharge your health items a lot faster. And then we get a coming in hot, 50% charge for grenades when you have none, which is very good because you will probably be running out, especially with larger groups. Field Medic, yet again, just increases the amount of items you have in combat at a more rate. Demolition Specialist gives us one more grenade charge, which means one more shot of our arm. And a recharge speed of grenades outside of combat, which basically means you hop out of combat, hop back in, you can have all the grenades you want. And then we have Pyromania. Yet again, it recharges our health items and our grenades. And it also increases the blast radius of our projectiles, especially the projectile launch system. And with that, we'll be moving on to the part where we basically upgrade our cybernetics. All things cyber. Because we need all 2 points into this one. All cybernetic stats are modified. Minus 20 the cost for cyberware in a certain category. So basically, this makes it so this system and this system, you can have more. These couple systems, you'll have more stats in. You can have more of that material, especially later on when they get into the gold ranks. You definitely will need all those cyberware upgrades. Next, we have Chrome Constitution, which basically just makes it so you take less incoming damage, basically making it harder for you to kill when all your slots are filled up, which will be easy once we get to this skill. But until then, we have this. Your cyberware capacity and altitude are higher than 9. Then from there, all cyberware gain an additional stat modifier, basically giving you the ability to change wherever you want, or adds another thing to your overall cyberware. So instead of only having reload, it's reload and health. Then we have crafting components from looting. It's not really that important, but it's just good to have, just in case you want to build a certain weapon, but you can't find it in the open world. Then we have this one. For those who like to tinker with themselves a little bit more, chipware gives you a third option at tier and higher. So basically, within purple to gold and higher, you'll have the ability to modify. Then after that, we will be going into license to chrome. This is what gives us more cyberware capacity. And also modifies our stuff even more. Level 1 gives us all cyberware stats modified. Level 2 gives us 40 armor, which is good. Gives us a base armor stat, even more. And unlocks new cyberware slots for the skeleton. One of the skeleton modifiers is locked off until you have this perk. Then going off of that, We have extended warranty, duration for all cyberware effects. This includes the Stand Never Stand, which is very good, especially if you like to be on top of all your opponents. Build different, unlocks other stuff, basically giving you something like all the stuff, the second tier for your cyberware. So basically you only have 2 things, this gives you the third one. Same thing here, gives you another slot for your hand, just in case you need like extra reloading. This is also very good. And this one, ooh. This is very important because this will basically speed up the projectile launcher. Hence why it's almost connected to the thing that increases projectile launcher. Then we have this. This is very important for Vash's secondary weapon. The cross that his buddy gives him towards the end of the series. Also, for those who don't want to use a certain revolver and want to use a tech revolver, here you go. Recharge speed for tech weapons, and then a charge shot with tech weapons, and then level 3, which is very important, especially for the rifle we're going to use, which fires a bolt released in the trigger and allows you to charge your weapon. And from that, it's just a stat modifier on top of that, such as ignite enemy's armor. Tech weapons no longer fire automatically when fully charged, meaning you get to hold that charge and precision your aim. And this one allows you to get those perfect headshots even more. Gives you enough time to perfectly get a headshot. And if you miss, guess what? If you hit someone behind them, they'll still fire a bolt off, which will hopefully hit the target you're attending. And then the finishing off chain lightning, which is perfectly why we use this ability. It basically just gives you a lightning bolt off whoever you shoot, basically damaging all around targets. And then Edge Runner. This gives you a Fury state, basically making it so it's kind of like Berserker, but you know, don't need that certain cyberware to get into that stage. And then let's go to the stat that's the least invested in. This is for those who early on in the game, seeing as the game does give us a cyber deck to hack into certain things. This is just for those early on in the game. RAM recovery, which is very good early on, like I stated. You'll focus usually around combat because towards the beginning of the game, enemies are difficult. Later on, they become very trivial unless you are doing the DLCs. So first we have Optimize, which just gives you RAM recovery speed. And then we have this. Okay, now we are moving in to the cool stat. This one is especially important for those who definitely want to use Vash's sidearm, the revolver. First things first, feline footwork. Basically allows you to move a lot quicker, especially when crouched, which is very good when you're trying to sneak. Then we have Road Warrior. Allows us to use a stand to basically move around targets, basically making it so it's less likely you'll hit another car. Then here is the most important ones. This allows Vash to be using his revolver a lot more often and get headshots and weak point damage. Also likes to slow down time, so you definitely can get your shots off properly. Reload speed for the next reload, next aiming. It stacks. The stamina cost goes down when focusing. So basically, get your headshots off and then move on to the next target. This is very good if enemies like to chuck grenades, but you can instantly shoot them. This basically allows you to have it for a longer period of time. And this makes you feel like a Neo in the making, slowing down time even more, even when you're in the Sand Devastation mode. Deadeye. Now this is good if you like to shoot it by the hip and or by aiming. This basically allows you to get more damage from headshots and stamina recovery, which also feeds into the focus meter. And then there's Quick Draw, which is very good for swapping between the revolver and any other weapon we have on our thing. This does work with any weapon with Quick Draw. As long as you have switching from a revolver to another weapon, like a precision tech rifle, it will work. Especially for this build when we are using a revolver and a precision rifle. And then Deadeye, also regardless of distance. So the target can be 100 yards away or it could be point blank in front of you. And then High Noon. This is very important, especially since we are using a revolver. It allows us to reload a lot quicker, especially after neutralizing the thing. It'll slow down time whenever you shoot and eliminate an enemy. Doesn't matter if you kill them and or just knock them down. It'll work regardless. Then we have California Reaper. Your stamina will increase, which in turn, with every weak point hit, which usually will be a headshot, and yet again, will fuel into our focus, basically giving us more time for more shots. Even if you're reloading, as long as you're eliminating enemies, you will keep that focus meter up. And then there is Tungsten Steel. Guarantees critical hits, basically making it so it's easier to feed into these other perks, yet basically trickling down for more stamina to be in the form more often. And as long as you're feeding the machine, it should keep going. He should keep chugging along. And then we have Hipfire, which obviously will help. If you're just trying to get off that old western feel, just Hipfire. But yeah, that is the majority of what we'll need for the revolver. And seeing as we have the DLC, we also use relic stuff, which is very important for our wrist launcher. This will basically be jailbreak. It allows you to leap with certain things, but the main thing we came here for is projectile launcher. It allows us to charge it up for a burst of 5 projectiles, basically making our 1 go to 5, which is very good. And then gives us another charge on top of that. So basically, you went from only having 1 charge to having 10, essentially, if you do it correctly. And now I still have points left over. You can indeed go for vulnerable analysis, which will basically be more weak points for Vash to shoot at. But the problem part is it will obviously activate in any proximity with any enemy, basically making it so if you go stealthy, it'll just go off and alert you. And with that being said, this is all the abilities your stats will be like at the max rank of 60. Now let me show you what the weapons we'll be using for this next part. Now on to the weapons. For weapons, obviously we'll be using the Cyberware projectile launcher system. For his arm, especially this one, gives him the aesthetic also because it doesn't match both arms. Then he's got that cybernetic arm underneath there. But the most important things are these two. Let us start off with the revolver. Now I am using a revolver from the DLC Phantom Liberties. You will get this after you do a side quest for Mr. Hands. It'll show up and you must side with the person who gave you the quest. If you do not side with them, you will lose the chance to get all reliable. You will have to kill the person trying to attack your client. The client must live. The guy who's antagonizing your client must die. But if you can't get this, don't worry. Early on in the game, you can unlock your own overture. Overture is basically the classic version of what Vash is pistol is like. Now, the most important part of this revolver, is that any sight works. This one works a lot better because it smooths out the design and doesn't give you a clunky display that shows ricochet. Now, for Vash, you will definitely need a PAX. A PAX basically makes the weapon non-lethal. And Vash, the Stampede, does not like to kill people. It's literally his character. So, to avoid murder in combat, just use a PAX. You can get a PAX at most any level. You can get them from purple all the way up to gold, depending on your weapon. Like here, you see it's a gold weapon. We're using a gold PAX. Now, some weapons will already come with this slot already installed. Don't worry. After a certain level, these will become more available. But if you're looking for one that's on the map, after you complete the tutorial, down here will be a Cyber Psycho. They do drop an Overture. Now, I'm not sure if the Overture does have a slot on it, but at least gives you the weapon. Just off starting. It might be worse than what you're using, but hey, you're going for the build. So, you can either go between these two things, or any in the open world, you know. But I prefer this one because it obviously gives off more of the appeal. Especially with all the ordain on it. Next up is our very important one. This is why we need all those points into the precision rifle. It also helps when you're swapping between these two. So the precision rifle is very necessary because it allows us to shoot off a lightning bolt. Because in the anime, Vash has a cross given to him by his friend Nick, and it shoots off a basic lightning bolt. Or just a very high-powered railgun, which basically this is a railgun. And it does give off the cross design, especially if it's, you know, hip fired. But most of the time you'll be firing this like it's a precision bolt. But yeah, you can find these at any level after a certain point. Mostly down below. The further south you go in NightCity, the more likely you'll find these. You can even find schematics at vendors for them. You can find them at most any vendor down below. Yeah, see? You can craft your own, and it allows you to have 2 slots. It also helps with headshots and whatnot. And also you can craft the Overture. If you want one yourself. You will not be able to use a PAX as gold if you are using this. But if you want your own made and modded yourself, you can just make it yourself. Nextly, we will have your, basically your secondary. It's basically a weapon you ever choose to use. I choose a knife because it is silent. And you can use to throw at enemies' heads to basically incapacitate them. But yes, with that being said, that is mostly all the weapons you'll be using for Vash. You can interchange this top one with whatever you feel kindly to. But the most important ones are definitely the precision rifle and the revolver. Especially the revolver. That's what basically makes Vash Vash. Without the revolver, he's just some random schmuck in a red jacket. So that being said, we'll be moving on to gameplay for Vash. that should be all the things you need to build your own Vash the Stampede, the human typhoon. And with that being said, that should be the end for this build video. This is my first one, and I hope it turned out well. If you can, leave some thing in the comments below. Tell me how I can improve, and what other games you want to see me do a build video for. Hey, you want a Mass Effect one? You want one for, say, like Fallout 4 or Dragon Age, or really any RPG that is available to play on modern consoles? I'd be glad to play it for any of you. But until next time, thank you guys for watching. Hope you're having time. See you next time. Corral. Peace. Also, remember, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a wonderful time.